Hi, this is Siddhi, and today we are going to talk about school and autism. All right. This article, I have posted an article on this in my Substack page, and it's advisable for you to read the article and watch the video because the concept is there's a lot of information that I'm trying to squish in, so it will be more easier for you to keep a track if you read the article in addition to watching the video. Okay. First, we need to ask ourselves, why do we go to school? Okay. So the first, the core reason why school as a concept was started uh, was started because of industrialization. So industrialization is where there were factories, there were companies set up, and these companies and factories needed labor. They needed people to work for them, right? And they needed lots of people to work for them. So a school was set up as a place where a group of people like these can be brought together, can be taught these skill sets, and then they can move out of those schools and colleges, and then they could go and work in the company as labor. Okay, so that's your core reason why schooling as a concept started. Okay, the second reason why schooling started was to generate independence. When you're at home, you're always, in many ways, protected in by your family, by your parents and everybody. So a school is basically a sort of a middle ground where you can go, where the child can become independent, but it is not so open and so unstructured that it overwhelms the person. All right, so it's a safe place, where there are adults who can guide the child, in place of their parents. All right. The third reason why we go to school is to work in groups. So a school is a place where we learn that we interact with other people aside from our immediate family members. We meet other people aside from our immediate family members, and we learn to interact and engage with them. Okay, so in many ways, we are learning to interact with people who are not naturally interested in, protecting us, taking care of us, or cajoling us. We So due to which we start becoming more and more independent once we end up in school. Okay, this is also a place where we start understanding, experimenting with what kind of roles do we want to take in society. Do we want to take a leadership role? Do we want to be a follower? Do I want to be the analysis? So school is a safe place where we can experiment with different roles, and when we come out, we would hopefully be able to understand what we would like to do. Okay, the other aspect, which is a very basic aspect of school is for literacy. What do I mean by literacy? Literacy means to be able to read, write, and do math. That's basic. Now I know that we do a lot of subjects when we are in school, but that is, all of those subjects are not actually required. What you require is basic stuff that uh, so schools, basically, when we have so many subjects like history, geography, algebra, geometry, all of these subjects happening, the reason why we have so many subjects is basically to give us exposure to different concepts, so that by the end, when we move out of school, we are able to understand where our liking lies, where our strengths lies. Okay, but in terms of functionality, we don't need to know all of those stuff. All right. The other part that school is supposed to be useful is for self-regulation. So again, it is, keep in mind, school is inherently a place where we learn to be independent. All right, so in that case, another aspect that a school is useful for is to what to do when I'm frustrated, when I'm upset, when I'm feeling strong emotions. How do I deal with it? At my home, I have my family, I have my carer, so I don't actually have to work that hard to manage myself. But if I am outside in the school, I have to manage myself. At home, I lose my temper, I can throw things, I can shout, I can scream, but I can't do that in school. And similarly, I would be thrown into jail if I do that in as an adult, right? So a school is a place, number one, to learn to self regulate your own frustrations and your emotions. Similarly, a school is a place where you learn to focus in spite of distractions. So, when there's a group of 20 kids or 50 kids in a classroom and everybody's making noise, everybody's talking, and you still have to pay attention, it's a way. It's like the first step, because if you can't pay attention over there, where how are you going to pay attention when you're working in a company with thousands of people, right? Similarly, the third aspect that schools are useful for is to basically test your own moral compass. So schools inherent bring your child, will expose your child to different kinds of temptations, so you will the child will be exposed to bullying, the child will be exposed to opportunities to try alcohol, to try drugs, to try aggression, to try to all of these behaviors to fit into a group. And it is a place where what moral values you as a parent has taught get applied, and the child can test, am I do I want to do this, do I not want to do this, how do I face what should I do when somebody offers me alcohol, what should I do when somebody say, I see somebody getting beaten up, what should I do if somebody tells me to do something that is the wrong thing to do. So this is a place where you learn to test all of these moral values and develop. All right. The last piece is connected to the first piece, which is a school gives you a degree. Why is a degree like SSC, HSC, BHSC, SSC, HSC important? Or SSC, HSC degree basically is a way for a external institute, whether it's a college or a training institute, to understand that okay, fine, the child has completed this much learning. So it's a way to communicate baseline learning on which the remaining further vocational training can be taught. Okay, so this is the reason why we go to school. Now let's understand, why do we not go to school? All right, the first thing to keep in mind, which is very important, is that we do not go to school to make friends. School, if you look at school curriculum, if you look at school structure, nothing of that actually lets you make friends. All right, a school is a place where you meet peer, means children of your same age, but it is the school does not give you any opportunities to make or sustain friends. If you want to make or sustain friends, you have to meet those friends outside the school, then only it works. Okay, inside the school you are supposed to you're supposed to compete with each other, you're supposed to learn from each other, you're supposed to form groups so that you can compete with each other. So this whole thing in that parents and many professionals also have in their mind, that school is for socializing, is a very wrong concept. All right. Second thing a school is not supposed to be doing is teaching you ADLs. So I've not mentioned it on the PPT, but it's just something that I need to briefly mention. Many a times with you need to keep in mind that a school is when a child enters school, junior KG, below junior KG, the school will work with things like helping the child eat, helping opening the tiffin, or maybe changing the diaper once in a while. But they are supposed to be learning to be independent over there, so there's some amount of help that is given for ADLs over there. But junior KG upwards, they will stop doing it, because the whole point of going to school is to be able to do all of these things by yourself. All right. So a school is not for teaching areas, which is something a lot of autistic parents tend to miss out. Another thing a school is not for is teaching attention. So attention, what do I mean by attention? I mean, by attention, I mean is being able to attend to a teacher, okay, to give priority to something. All right. A child as early as playgroup has the ability to enter a class and scan everything that is there, and be able to prioritize, okay, the teacher is more important, I should pay attention to the teacher, and follow the teacher by himself. So, attending as a behavior gets shaped in school, but it is not something that is taught in school. So, the child is not taught to pay attention to the teacher in the school. The child is inherently uh, primed to pay attention to the teacher in school. That's the reason why we start schools around that time. Okay. The other aspect that does not actually get taught in school is writing. Writing is something that develops prior to school. So children start showing signs of, writing, like scribbling, holding a pencil, developing hand preference, anything between the age of 2 to 4. And this behavior, once it develops, then that is shaped towards writing. So that's the reason why, if you see, normally no teacher is going to sit and hold hand and write for the children. The only times in India it does happen sometimes in some schools, that's because we start writing at a very early age. But if you leave it at norm, most of the children should be able to, just write by themselves as they start developing interest in writing. All right. So again, this is a skill set that is shaped in school, not taught in school. Okay. So now this brings us to the question as what skills do our children require when they attend school? Okay, so the first thing that a child requires, an autistic child requires when they attend school, is self-regulation. So autistic children generally go through one-on-one therapy. So they develop, as we've talked about it earlier also, they develop for prompt dependence. So prompt dependence is where you will see them paying attention, doing a task as long as there's an adult present in front of them. The moment an adult is not present, they will switch off or they will move away. Now, this is something that cannot be accepted in school. The child is supposed to regulate himself and focus even when the adult is not directly in front of him. Okay, so that's the first skill set that the child has to know, autistic child has to know before attending school. The second thing that the child has to know before attending school is to attend at distance. Autistic children, because of the way the therapy works, typically tend to attend only at a very short distance. So the therapist is literally at a table distance from the child to and and the child learns to focus attention in that format. All right, but a school requires you to attend across half a room at least. Okay, and that is a skill set that has to be taught to autistic kids. If so, you have to teach distance commands to autistic kids to be able to teach them to pay attention to to teacher in the class. If the child is not able to follow or distance commands, then the child will not be able to follow the teacher. Similarly, if the child is habituated to following only one person, like a primary care, a mother or father, and does not naturally pay attention to other people, then again that's going to cause a problem, because it's very autistic children are unique for that fact that they will pay attention to their mother across distance, across any place, but the same thing someone else is standing, they will not pay attention, which we talked about. A normal child can do as early as 2.5 when they start playgroup. All right, so that's something that has to be taught. Another thing that uh, is very ignored is imitation. So a school as young as play school, one of the skill sets that all children need to have is following a group. Okay, following a herd, just following your peer for just the sake of following, that sort of a thing has to be there, and which is imitation, right? Imitation just for the heck of it. Now that is something that is affected in autism. Autistic children do not imitate naturally most of the time, right? And because they don't naturally imitate most of the time, they are going to struggle with following a lot of group commands, because group commands is not listening to the teacher. Group, literally, if you go into a classroom, you will see that a normal child listens to maybe you know 50% of the commands that the teacher is giving. Okay, 50% is also high level. Most of the time what happens is that the children will listen to a part of the command and they'll watch other children in their around them and they will imitate them. Okay, so if the child doesn't have that skill set, the child is going to struggle. And this is a skill set, even if you teach, like imitation, even if you teach a child, autistic child, it's typically taught on command, or it is taught, and it is taught with an adult. Imitating a peer is very difficult because a child of its own age, is very fast. The movement that they show is very varied and very complex. So it's very difficult for an autistic child to follow it. Okay, and to follow it while they're dealing with the overload of being in a group setup is extremely difficult again. Okay, so again, the following of group is a skill set that has to be taught. Another thing, the next thing that you have to teach the child is waiting. Now, again, this is something that is very ignored in our therapies. So, a child as young as a playgroup child understands the concept of play alone, and that's the reason why we send them to school. Okay, so if you look at playgroups, you will have times where the teacher is working one on one with the child, with one child, and the other children are supposed to play with themselves. All right. Now, this is where the child is learning to be independent. But if you see, we don't teach our children to play alone, and we and our children are not inherently capable of doing it. So obviously, when this happens, the child is going to stim, run out of the class, you know, do things which are inappropriate, for which he may get reward or he may not get reward. All right. So waiting as a concept is something that has to be taught, and waiting as a concept gets complex as you grow older, and becomes more and more independent as you grow older. Like when they're younger, the like in play school, nursery, typically the school will have toys and everything that are kept out for the child to play. But as they grow up from junior KG upwards, the children are supposed to engage themselves or wait without anything. So they're supposed to just sit. Like, if, say for example, if it's first grade and the some of the children have finished their work, and this your child has finished his work, and the other children have not finished their work yet. The child has to know how to just wait without doing anything. Other children can do it. They can put their head down, they look somewhere, they will do scribbling, they will do coloring, but our kids don't understand how to do it. And that's when you will have them shooting out of the class, tearing what they've written, tearing the paper, that sort of stuff. So again, waiting is a skill set that has to be taught for a child to function in schools. The next part that the child has to learn is work alone. Now, what do I mean by work alone? I have mentioned work alone earlier too, and it's a very important concept. So, work alone has two parts to it. So, first part is basically being able to understand what you're supposed to do by looking at the material. This is something a lot of the times therapists and parents tend to forget. Okay, so the child has to be able to understand that if I give him a worksheet, he should get the information of what he should do from the worksheet, and not need me to go and interpret the worksheet for him. That is work alone. Okay, so that's the first level of work alone that the child has to be able to do to function well in the school, because the teacher is not going to sit and explain everything to the child one on one. All right. So that's first, that the child has to be able to get all of the information of what is the expected behavior out of the worksheet or out of the material. The second part of work alone is basically being able to understand what you know and what you don't know, and what should you do when you don't know something. Okay. And why is this important? Because autistic children, many a times, one of the complaints, challenging behaviors that comes up with autistic children is that they are good at doing their work, but if they don't know something, they panic and they will have a meltdown over there. So again, this is something that has to be taught to the children, that what do you do when you don't know something? Leave it. And I can't tell you the number of times this is not taught, and how challenging that becomes in the classroom, because the teacher doesn't understand why the child has suddenly started crying and howling as if the whole world has collapsed. Correct. The other aspect the child has to understand is understanding at distance. Okay, so autistic children, like we talked about earlier, have to know how to scan and prioritize the teacher. okay, and focus attention on teacher while ignoring others. So that's a basic level that the autistic child has to be able to do. But in addition to that, the autistic child also has to understand concepts that are taught at distance. So now, if you take the earlier example of work alone, many a times the teacher will explain the worksheet in front of the class. The child has to be able to attend to the worksheet that the teacher is looking at, look at your own worksheet, and understand what is the expected behavior from it. So again, that skill set where the child pays attention for that duration of time, figures out the steps and does it, is something, a skill that has to be taught to the child. All right. The other aspect is, the next aspect is language. Okay, so language is something that is very crucial when you go to school, correct? But there are aspects to it. So the first aspect that you need to learn about language is to be able to understand there's a connection between read language, heard language, spoken language, and written language. And if there is no connection between these four aspects, you will not get comprehension. Okay, that is why if you see in autistic children, you will have what is called a sporadic performance, where the child is reading and the child is writing, but the child is not comprehending. So, say for example, a child basically goes off and writes a sentence 10 times, okay, copies and writes very well. Writes the answer to a question very well because you have done it 10 times, but he doesn't comprehend it and change it. Okay. Similarly, you will have children who read a question and they will write the answer, but they don't comprehend it and they don't apply it. Okay, so this comprehension is basically something that has to be taught, where what you speak is something that is you also read and write. And this is kind of made worse by the way we teach language, because many a times we teach, whether it is parents, whether therapists, we teach reading and writing in the format of very external, using external tools. Okay, so we will use things like textbooks, we will use scripts that are given to the children and the children are supposed to by heart and write it, or we will use storybooks like Naisha and everything, which basically don't have any connection to the child's life. All right, so then again the comprehension is not going to work. Now, why is this comprehension important? The comprehension is important because if you don't have comprehension, you're not going to be able to think, apply, and inform. Okay, now inherently thinking as a concept is something that is very difficult for an autistic child, because autistic children are primarily um, black and white people, so they need to know what they know. Okay, so I don't know is something that is very difficult for them, and it's something that causes them anxiety. All right, so that's so unless you teach thinking as a concept, that's the first problem that you have. Now, if you can't comprehend, if you can't see the connection between read, written, spoken, and you know heard language, then your comprehension is not going to happen. If your comprehension is not going to happen, you're not going to be able to think, correct? And you're not going to be able to apply, because the whole concept is about connecting everything together, right? So this comprehension, if it doesn't happen, then how am I supposed to apply? Like, say for example, a simple thing, like I have taught my child a concept of seasons. All right, so my child has learned the words, the four seasons, what are the things that are used in different seasons, and my child knows how to read and write those words. But if my child doesn't understand that the umbrella is the same umbrella that you have at home, or the monsoon, the rain looks like what it looks like outside the window over here, then the child will not be able to apply and infer what should I do when the weather is like this, or how did I feel when the weather was like that. So this inference has to have a baseline of comprehension. Okay, and comprehension needs to have a connection between the four aspects of language. All right. Similarly, the other aspect of language is descriptive language and narration. As you grow older in academics, you're supposed to narrate. you're supposed to describe. Now, describe can be at a basic level where you basically just place language on an object or on a thing and you use words to define it. But the higher level of description is where you put your thoughts into words. If you cannot put your thoughts, and this is something you see with a lot of autistic kids do have knowledge. Many autistic kids get poor marks because they have knowledge, but they don't know what words should I use to put my thoughts into words so that the opposite person can see my knowledge. Okay, so again, this is a skill set that has to be taught. Similarly, narration. What is narration? Narration is not just rote learning and vomiting it out. It is basically going back to your place, to that place in your mind, placing language, and then bringing it forth and sharing it with the person in such a way that the person can get the picture. Okay, again, this is a skill set that is not taught. And if these skill sets are not present, then even if you have a degree in your hand, you're not going to be able to get a job. All right. Lastly, the other part that parents tend to not understand, and most of the neurotypicals don't understand about autism, is social fitting in. So many people have this sort of mistaken assumption that I just leave my kid into the society and my kid will manage. The truth is that children, normal neurotypical people as young as 6 years can identify someone who's different. All right, and they will figure out from their adults, from their peer, from other people, how to deal with somebody who's different. Okay, so this whole naive assumption that neurotypical people have, that society is going to accept a autistic person, is completely false. Because an autistic person, being a socially deficit person, typically is a socially blind person. So he or she cannot see the social patterns. Since they cannot see the social patterns, they cannot formulate the response to it. And in consequence, they are not going to fit in into the society. All right. And if they're not going to fit into society, they will get bullied. They will get isolated. All right. And this is something that's a reality. Going off and saying that I'm just going to dump my kid into school and my child is going to learn is completely irresponsible as carers towards the child. All right. The last part, that a skill that an autistic person requires, is copying. Okay, copying is basically copying from notebook, copying from blackboard. Okay, uh, it's a basic skill set that is required in many of the Indian schools. All right. The other aspect that schools require is that children require is note taking. So after copying gets over, as the child starts getting goes into higher grade, the teacher will focus more on explanations. Okay, so the explanations will go on for a longer period of time, 30-40 minutes. And we know that autistic kids tend to many autistic kids will who have auditory sensitivity will start getting overloaded and switch off after a few sentences. Similarly, many autistic kids have difficulty holding more than 2 or 3 points of information in their mind. So they need to learn the ability to take notes, okay, so that they can get the extra information that the teacher gives when he or she is in the classroom, which is very relevant to the marks or the performance of the person. All right, so this is a skill again that has to be taught. Right, so what does that mean for us? All of this, what does that mean for us? What it means is that just because one child can manage school, it does not mean that everyone can do it. And this is something a lot of parents don't understand. Everybody is like, okay, fine, his child went to school means my child should also go to school. No, your child is very different from from every other child. You need to look at your child and you need to identify what is your child capable of and whether the child has the skills to, you know, function in the school. Secondly, just because the child gets good marks does not mean he's managing school. Like we talked about, schools is not equal to marks, and this is something a lot of Indian families don't get. All right, schools have a lot of other elements, and you need to explore and try to understand what is the school child struggling with, because even a child who is very good at academics will be struggling in the social skills aspect. All right, so you need to help the child. So what are the things that you have to keep in mind when you're thinking about schooling of autistic kids? Number one, why are you sending your child to school? What do you expect the child to get out of it? We saw the things the schools offer. What are you going to get out of that for your child? Okay, what is the school willing to give you? What accommodations do you need from the school, and what is the school willing to give you? And lastly, how does all of this that you're doing and so much effort that you're putting in for the school, how does that work towards making your child independent as an adult? Because at the end of the day, we send our children to school to become independent. All right. So, how does this help your child to become independent? All right. So, that's it for today. Next time, we'll talk more about school. Thank you.